Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies, and this is Inside Look at the Knights of Columbus. An article from Life magazine, May 27, 1957. Greeting to Knights is given by Pius XII to Knights of Columbus, Rome representative Enrico Galeazzi on the 75th anniversary. At the left is Cardinal Taviani. Supreme Knight Luke E. Hart, Order's head since 1953, stands by bust of Columbus in New Haven headquarters. At right are Papal and Knights of Columbus flags. Wearing plumed hats, men of top-ranking groups of knights, the fourth degree, stand at attention in St. Patrick's Cathedral during annual memorial mass attended by the New York chapter. Knights of Columbus in 75th year. A million-member fraternal order is the busy, prosperous right arm of the Catholic Church in America, the world's largest and strongest Roman Catholic fraternal organization. The Knights of Columbus this spring celebrates the 75th anniversary of its founding. 7 men organized the Knights of Columbus at New Haven, Connecticut in 1882. Now its active membership numbers more than 1 million practicing Catholics, and the Vatican admirably describes it as the right lay arm of the Catholic Church in America. In a church traditionally dominated by its priestly hierarchy, the Knights wield a powerful lay influence, typified by one of their slogans: serve your faith, flag, family, self. It was founded to give active Catholics a secret society they could join with the full endorsement of their church, and it resembles other large fraternal orders which do not have strong religious ties. The Knights have elaborate initiation ceremonies for different degrees of membership, use special words and symbols, hold their ceremonies in secret, and dress in various colorful uniforms. Like an ardent Mason, moose, or elk, an enthusiastic Knight can easily find himself devoting a vast amount of time, energy, and emotion to the work of his order. The Knights publish a monthly magazine, Columbia, with the biggest Catholic circulation in the world, over 1 million, run correspondent courses on Catholicism for non-Catholics, own a lot of valuable property including a big brass tube mill and the land under Yankee Stadium, and are now celebrating the diamond anniversary by building a 316-foot campanile in Washington, D.C. The Knights are an actively functioning order in all 48 states and all 10 provinces of Canada, as well as in Alaska, Cuba, Mexico, Puerto Rico, the Panama Canal Zone, and the Philippines. They choose the first word of their title to emphasize their knightly ideals of service to church, country, and fellow man, and honor Christopher Columbus as the Catholic discoverer of America. Life recently received permission from the Order's Supreme Board of Directors to photograph many ceremonies which have never before been seen by non-members. Columbian Squires. In New Haven, initiate members, seated youths already belong. Robed officers explain the importance of their Catholic heritage to new candidates in white shirts. For every age, a solemn pageantry. As a big, active fraternal order, the Knights have a lot of related organizations. Mostly they are for the relatives of Knights, but any practicing Catholic can join. The Columbinettes are set up for adult women, the Columbian Squires for boys of high school age, the Squirettes for teenage girls. There are outfits that go in for every form of hijinks, like the Marching Zouave, to history, like the Order of the Alhambra, which wears Moorish-type costumes and has sprinkled statues and markers over the United States and Canada. The Squires hold vocational evenings in which they discuss various lines of work they might enter. They collect for repair broken rosaries to use in the mission field. They get together with the Squirettes to hold dances. The ladies' auxiliaries also go in for a wide range of activities, from communion break fast to blood donations to discussions on teenage dating. The ceremonies of all these branches have the rich color and vivid pageantry long associated with Roman Catholicism, and they possess a natural attraction for everyone over 13 in any Catholic family. Membership in the related organizations is now more than 100,000 and growing fast. That of the squires alone has tripled in the past 3 years. Zouave drill team of third-degree knights march in high step at Cathedral School in St. Louis. Golden sashes on uniforms represent papal colors. Columbinettes of New York show installation of state officers in Brooklyn Council Hall, guarded by warriors. The new secretary gets sash of officer. Squirettes, officers of a group in Silver Spring, Maryland, gather round statue of Virgin Mary in ceremonial. They are, left to right, President Susan Ingram, Treasurer Nancy Troy, Secretary Sharon Byers, Vice President Kathleen Kinsella. The array of candles stands for love of God, service to God, and purity. At first station, members in capes, formal dress, top hats here, defender of the faith, instruct candidates on 4th degree's obligation to Catholicism. Ceremonial pomp for 4th degree. To recognize its most worthy members, the Knights of Columbus instituted a topmost honorary rank called the 4th degree. A new member of the Knights of Columbus, starting as a 1st degree knight, rises quickly through the 1st and 2nd degrees to the 3rd degree. If he serves in this degree faithfully for 2 years, he becomes eligible for the 4th degree. More than a fifth of all knights belong to the 4th degree. The 4th degree initiation ceremony of the Knights of Columbus is shown here for the first time in photographs taken at Milwaukee. 3 successive stations explain the theme of the degree: patriotism hand in hand with religion. Candidates are instructed in their responsibility to Catholicism, the U.S. Constitution, and the ideas of Christopher Columbus. At the 4th station, initiates are girded in the colorful gear which contributes most of the pageantry of the knights. Girding candidates. Men of Milwaukee Color Guard adjust initiates, baldricks, and swords. Ceremonial swords, mark of new rank, are picked up by 4th degree candidates in Milwaukee initiation. Swords are used in salutes in degrees participation in church ceremonies. Knighting ceremony for 210 candidates is done for 1 candidate. Harlan Kelly, who, though a blind amputee, practices law in Baraboo, Wisconsin. Splendid show in South. At big Knights of Columbus occasions, the 4th degree knights turn out to perform their main function, embellishing celebrations both of the order and of the church with many colors of their cape. The bobbing patterns of ostrich-plumed hats, and the military flourish of their sword drills. They did this recently for the annual Mass and pilgrimage in New Orleans, honoring the order's founder. In the traditionally anti-Catholic South, the Knights of Columbus has a special attraction. Membership gives Southern Knights a buffer against anti-Catholic discrimination, and through membership in an organization with national prestige, helps them exert an influence in their districts out of proportion to their numbers. During Mass, for a Knights of Columbus founder, Father McGivney, Color Guard salutes as host is elevated. In pilgrimage, 4th degree Knights of New Orleans pray at Mother Cabrini's convent. Presenting swords, 4th degree lines up before cathedral while the state officers file in line. There are many enterprises, supreme officers, who direct the enterprises of the Knights of Columbus, pose before flags of countries where the order has members. Seated left to right, William Mulligan. Deputy Supreme Knight, Luke Hart. Supreme Knight, standing, Francis Hazel. Supreme Secretary Harold Lamali, Supreme Advocate Monsignor Leo Finn, Supreme Chaplain Dr. Gerald Luns, Supreme Physician Francis Futu, Supreme Board of Directors Representative Joseph Lamb, Supreme Secretary. Vatican Library was reproduced on microfilm through $340,500 given by Knights of Columbus. Studying pages are Charles Ermotinga, left, librarian Father Reinhardt, president of St. Louis University. Information Bureau runs $700,000 advertising campaign giving information and inviting questions on Catholicism. Here priests decide on answers to some of the 400,000 yearly letters. Huge investment is land on which the Yankee Stadium is built. Supreme Knight Luke Hart above made $2.5 million purchase from Arnold Johnson Company, rented it back at $182,500 a year. Monthly magazine, Columbia, put out by the Knights of Columbus, is stitched in the Order's own $1 million New Haven, Connecticut's printing plant. All Knight of Columbus members receive subscriptions. In littered office, Luke Hart hears on telephone news that Detroit, Michigan has just pledged 1,264 new Knights, an all-time record for one day. The Boss Knight. The national headquarters of the Knights of Columbus stand right next to the railroad yard in New Haven, Connecticut. It is the home of the Order's benign ruler, Supreme Knight Luke E. Hart, and office of its $700 million insurance business. Low-cost life insurance is the core of the Knights of Columbus, the main reason a third of its members joined and a strong inducement to stay in the Order. At 76, Luke Hart works a 15-hour day, managing the Knights' billion-dollar financial empire, fulfilling his fraternal duties as Supreme Knight, fending off businessmen trying to exploit the Order's vast ready-made market, and pushing his own pet causes. Due in great part of Hart's efforts, the Knights have spent over $1 million on playgrounds in Rome for slum children and, under God, was added to the salute to the flag. Last winter, he mobilized the full influence of the Knights of Columbus to keep Tito from being invited to the U.S., warning President Eisenhower that this would offend 30 million Catholics. Knights of Columbus headquarters are former New Haven Railroad offices. Work often keeps Hart's light on until midnight. He lives on the top floor. Founder and ranks. The Knights of Columbus was the idea of a 29-year-old priest named Michael McGivney on St. Mary's Church, New Haven. In 1882, he presented his idea to a group of lay Catholic friends, and they wrote the charter, listing insurance, fellowship, religion, charity, education, and patriotism as the Brotherhood's works. Father McGivney died only 8 years later, but within 20 years, the Knights of Columbus was established on a national basis. A candidate for the Knights of Columbus coming in as a first-degree knight usually takes the third degree in a few weeks. Third-degree members are the ones who run the order. The fourth degree is entirely honorary. The ranks of the Knights of Columbus are shown above in jewels worn by different levels of knights. Each knight belongs to a local group called a council, headed by an elected Grand Knight. A council sends two representatives to the state council, which has two functions. First, to elect a state deputy who, with district deputies, oversees local councils, and second, to elect the 375-man National Supreme Council. The Supreme Council elects the 21 Supreme Directors who appoint the Supreme Officers, page 63, and the Supreme Knight, who form the day-to-day government of the Knights of Columbus. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.